Welcome in to the Rockies Insider. I am your Rockies Insider, Patrick Lyons, on a very special edition today, right in the middle of the hot stove league's winter and the off season. We're going to talk about a hot free agent that had a big 2024 and just catch up with a good old friend, former Colorado Rocky, Connor Seabold. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it. Yeah, when I thought about who I wanted to have on this off season, I just remembered the great conversations you and I had in 2023. And I said, yeah, this is a guy that I want to catch up. And I mean, you've done a lot since you left Colorado. So there's a lot to talk about. Korea, man, what was that opportunity like? You played with the Samsung Lions in the KBO. You had a great year, but how does an opportunity like that come about?
Yeah, no, it was a cool year. Not many guys can say that they went overseas and played baseball. So, got to experience that, and it was pretty sick. It's just kind of one of those things like, guys who are in my position, like I had a rough year in 2023 with the Rockies, and sucks that things didn't work out. But it opens up new opportunities, and an opportunity opened in the form of a KBO invite, and went over there. Pitched really well, hopefully set myself up to come back to the States and, get another opportunity over here. But, it was cool. It was really cool.
Going into that year, you were teammates with Pierce Johnson, Colorado guy who was over in Japan. I wonder when you play with guys who've had careers that have spanned the globe, do you pick their brains about, hey, down the line, I might need a couple life rafts here and there? What was Japan like? What was Korea? What was Australia like? Do you talk with guys that have those experiences?
Actually, funny enough, Pierce was one of the first people that messaged me when everything, like when I posted, like, on my story or, on Instagram or whatever that I was signing. He was one of the first guys to reach out, and it was cool to see. Just told me, like, jump in feet first, enjoy the ride. I didn't really know what to ask him at the time. Like, it's just such a like different thing over there that it's like, I tried my hardest to think of something to ask him other than like, what are the main differences? But even that, it's like, that seems like too broad. And he played in Japan, and I was in Korea. So I don't know if there's like any sort of, differences there, but no, I mean, it was cool of him to reach out. I really appreciate that from him.
And I imagine, besides talking with your agent, you've got your boss. You've got the wife there. Did she was she excited about that opportunity? And did she enjoy her time over in Daegu as well?
Yeah, funny enough, I thought that was gonna be like one of like the roadblocks in signing over there. Was like, I don't know how she's gonna feel about this. And then, like, as soon as things started getting serious, she was like, dude, why not? Like, sign, go make some money, like get some good experience, put yourself in a good position. Like, she honestly, I think, looked at it more realistically than I did. Um, Mostly because I was just like, it's daunting going overseas for a year. So she kind of pushed me in the right direction and got me in a position where I mentally was ready to commit to that. So I appreciate that from her. But yeah, no, it's trippy because it all happens like so fast. Like when they want to sign you, it really does happen like in the span of like a week, I'd say.
And just like that, hey, I'm a Lion. Let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then she enjoyed her time over there. Funny enough, there was a game where she was on TV a lot over there. Like they spotted her in the stands and they were showing her. She was like a celebrity there for like a good like week. Like, she actually signed autographs. Like, not asking me for autographs, like asking her for autographs. It was pretty cool.
All right, now I have something to look for on eBay. Connor Seabold card. I'm like, that doesn't look like a C for Connor. That could be his wife. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was cool. She enjoyed her time over there too.
Yeah, that is one of the first things you do once the ink is dried on the contract. Are you buying a Rosetta Stone to learn Korean? Are you going Duolingo? What's that process like?
No, they gave me a guy who did that for me. And I got to shout out my interpreter. He was awesome. He was the man. But yeah, I mean, you pick up little bits and phrases here and there, but nothing like, I can't say I came away knowing a whole lot of Korean. It's just like, hello, thank you, all the bad words, obviously, like, naturally, that kind of stuff.
How about where was that pitch, Blue? Like, did you figure that one out yet?
No, they got ABS over there. Didn't have to worry about that.
That's great.
Yeah, no, that was trippy though. Pitching to ABS, that was something. That was definitely different.
I know you had a little experience with, I think they had the ABS in 23 in Albuquerque. Or did you notice any differences between Pacific Coast League and what the KBO had?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like over here they try and like mess with it a little bit too much, and like the zone isn't like a big league zone. It felt like. I remember really vividly. It was like one of Nolan Jones's first games after he got called up in 23. There was a pitch like at his letters that like is like top of the zone in the MLB, and he's like, looking back at the umpire like, what happened? And then like on the zone, sure enough, on TV, it's like pretty much entirely in the zone. But like in Albuquerque, that's not a strike. So he's like, he's not wrong. It's just like the zones are just different, and they're just like established more in the big leagues, I guess. I don't know. It was just, yeah, it's just different. That's all I can say.
I know the baseballs are different too, right? I think they're a little bit smaller in the KBO.
Mm-hmm.
What else did you maybe notice from the baseballs going from MLB to KBO?
Yeah, no, they're a little bit smaller. The seams are higher. They got a natural tack to them, which was pretty nice. But they don't move as much like side to side. They ride really well, so you get like good carry. But like I played with like one guy who had like his sinker was like his money pitch. And like it just wouldn't do anything over there. And it was kind of weird. It was like the seam shift thing, like it doesn't work as well with those balls, but outside of that, I'd say they just like they're super balls too. They fly. Like someone gets a hold of it, they go a long way. But at the end of the day, it's a baseball.
So it sounded like it probably felt a lot like Coors Field with the way the balls can carry there too, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, our home stadium was probably the least friendly pitchers park also. So getting used to that, it felt like, oh, I've done this before, but yeah, at least the ball was moving a little bit more than it would at Coors. But yeah, it was still like a rough adjustment. Like my first month, I'd say, learning just to pitch at home was tough there. But been through that, been there, done that. So it's just little adjustments go a long way.
In KBO, I think Japan might even be the same as well, but you only have 3 foreign-born players that are on the team. So kind of going back to you getting that opportunity with the Samsung Lions, it's not just, hey, look, everyone at a certain point, if you want, you can go over to Asia to play. There's limited spots, and to get one of those, is pretty special.
Right? No, 100%. Like you only get 30. Like there's only 30 players in the entire league that are from outside of Korea. And it's special. Like they treat you good. Like they treat you like a superstar for the most part. And you feel special too. Like when you're over there and you're like in the limelight, because a lot of the guys who go there, they're kind of used to being like, either swing guys, like they're, sometimes in the MLB, but mostly in AAA, or they're just like scratching, like knocking on the door, but just can't break through. And they get over there and like they kind of get like, you feel like you're in the spotlight a little bit more, and you start kind of getting more comfortable, like feeling that way. And I think that in itself helps guys a lot, because you look at Eric Fetty a couple years ago, and like I gotta imagine he can attest to this, where he wasn't really seen as like a guy that was like a big deal when he was pitching, but now that he went to Korea, he got to experience like being like the dude over there, and he came back. Like I think that carried into his success a little bit.
Yeah, that momentum is definitely a huge thing. We've seen with a lot of players, KBO and NPB, uh,
Absolutely.
have that kind of performance. Pierce Johnson, we'll give him another shout out. I remember talking with him, and he
Mhm.
said that again, like you said, how players are treated over there. He would get text messages. I think he even said, even after like a blown save, they're like, "Hey, you're doing a great job. You're having a great season. We love you." From the not even just from fans, it would be from people within the organization. Trying to push out that positivity, and like you said, treat you really well.
Right. No, I mean, the fans are super supportive. As anywhere you play, you're gonna have, your handful of mean comments. But yeah, if you have a bad game, it's a lot cushier over there, I will say. Um, you're not breaking any parlays, you're not, um, you're not getting into that crowd. So it's cool. Like the fans were definitely one of my favorite parts of it because they're just so passionate. Like no matter what. Like you could be down 20 to nothing, let's say, and you still have everybody on your side, like doing like cheering, and it could be like a bloop single down 20 nothing, and you still have the crowd going bonkers. So it's a cool vibe over there. It really is.
The atmosphere is really different. I was going to ask because I know you and I had bonded over your walkout music, Turnstiles Mystery,
Yeah,
which I told you it's still in rotation at Coors Field.
fires me up. That fires me up big time.
That's like this lasting legacy. It's like it's still there. It's like, oh, that's Connor right there playing over the loudspeakers. But did you get did you have a walkout music with the Samsung Lions, or do they make a song for you? I know that's a big thing over there.
So only the hitters got songs made for them. I got to pick, and it's like, it was funny because they don't like, you can just choose whatever song you want, and they don't really like censor it or anything. Because nobody, I mean, not a whole lot of people there, know enough English to be like, oh, that song's dirty or something like that. So I ended up going with a Dirty Head song, um, and it wasn't clean, I can tell you that. But it fired me up, and I feel like the fans got into a little bit. Like I didn't really get to like look over and see if they were, doing like the thunder sticks with it or anything. But it was cool for me at least. I hope that they enjoyed the song as much as I did.
Did you get a song? Did the fans make up a specific Connor Seabold chant, or is that just maybe for hitters, or is that just Japan?
No, I think it's just hitters. I don't know if they do it in Japan though. They might. Um, I'm not familiar enough with it, but yeah, no. As far as I know, like across the league, I think it was just hitters.
Did were there any interesting Connor Siebel pieces of merchandise, like a special stuffed animal, or just any strange things like that? I know they can get creative over there.
You know what? They actually, with the foreign guys, they're very careful about the merchandise because sometimes, like, if they get off to a slow start, you get released like right away. Like there was a there was a couple guys that were in the league that I'd say made it like maybe a month into the season. So for that reason, teams are kind of like hesitant to, be pumping out jerseys with their names on it just because they might be gone if they don't perform. It's pretty cutthroat. So um, I know that at the end they did have like jerseys with my first name on it, which unrelated, my last name means something very bad over there. So yeah, they strayed away from using my last name a lot.
Wow. So there's
Yeah.
Ichiro and there's
Hmm.
Connor.
There's
Okay.
there's corner, as they call me,
Corner. There we go.
corner.
Ah, I love
But
that.
yeah, but I mean, I have a Korean jersey with my front or first name on it. Like it's cool. It's cool regardless.
That is very cool. I imagine you probably got to keep some items and stuff from your time over there.
Yeah, no, I have plenty of jerseys. Actually gave most of them away to family members because they all wanted, a Korean Connor jersey. So, um, yeah, I got rid of most of those, but I kept a handful for myself, and then just like various bits of memorabilia, and they'd have giveaways, and we get some of the cool stuff that they'd be handing out. So, I got some Lion stuff strewn about the house. So, yeah, definitely leaving a lasting memory.
Very cool. Let's hit the chat real quick. Guillaume, thanks for joining us today, as always. And then one of your big fans, Connor, says, hey, did you pitch fastball heavy over in Korea as you did at Coors, or were you able to turn into a punch-out pitch? My guess is, yeah, you did something with a punch-out pitch because, again, really good season in 24 with the Lions.
Yeah, no, I actually did a little bit of both. So I started messing with a sweeper before I went over there, and it really did help. Like it felt like kind of the missing piece of what I've been needing the last few years. Especially at Coors, like the slider that I had, it wasn't working. It was more of a cutter. So I feel like having the sweeper would have helped a little bit. I don't know how it would have played at Coors still, but it would have definitely taken heat off of the cutter, and the changeup. Like the changeup was definitely like the pitch I had to lean on the most besides the fastball, but it's just a hard pitch to land for a strike. So it's like, okay, cutter's not good here. Fastball or changeup's not in the zone enough. We got to throw fastballs, and fastballs just suffer at Coors. That's just the reality of it, unless you just got like ridiculous stuff behind it. But the fastball did play over there. Lefties don't like being pitched in, mostly because they're like Anthony Rizzo, like on top of the plate for the most part. So for the lefties, a lot of the time I would just throw them up and in, and there wasn't a whole lot they could do with it. Certain guys were able to turn on it, but it made my life easier against the lefties, because funny enough, the changeup didn't work at all over there, just because they're on the plate and they can just shoot it the other way. That's their approach. So leaning into the sweeper a lot more and going like fastball heavy, especially against the lefties, ended up working. I don't know if that would work in the States per se, but it was more of like hey, I can locate here regularly, and so I can bring that into the next season and then work off of that.
I know you kind of split your time between the rotation and the bullpen, and in the bullpen you got a lot of downtime to talk about pitches and grips and stuff like that. What was any of that sweeper grip or any approach in general that you talked with some of the teammates with the Rockies in 23?
You know what? It actually wasn't really on my mind when I was there. It was more of just like, how do I keep the ball in the park more than anything? Which, I mean, I'm sure a lot of guys are trying to think about that one. But yeah, I mean, when I was in the pen, it was more just talking about, how do you approach this guy? Like, what do you got on this guy? Like, I would try and see what, certain guys who had like similar stuff would approach facing certain hitters, because, I was new to this whole thing. Like, I didn't really, especially out of the pen, like that was my first time ever pitching out of the pen. So just kind of getting like, even mindset stuff. Like Bardo was great to talk to about the mindset stuff, because he's, that's what he does. He's a like mental strength coach. And he helped me a lot with that stuff. But yeah, no, the bullpen conversations were more just like using what I already had. I wasn't too concerned with like the stuff at that point. It was just, how do I approach certain guys?
And you'll probably be happy to know, and not surprised to know, Daniel Bard is working on a book right now about the mental health side of the game and mental approach and working through injuries. Because if you're an athlete and you use your body, you're going to get hurt. How do you overcome those kind of struggles? So that's something he's working on with Rob Bradford, and I think we're all excited to, when that comes out, to give it a read.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'll have to cop that for sure.
Now, also in the KBO, as I've been alluding to, great season. I mean, the Samsung Lions go all the way to the Korean series. And my first question about that is, at what point did you learn the setup of the playoffs? Because it's not the same as an American sport. If you have the best record, you basically get a bye all the way to the World Series.
Yeah, no, I learned that pretty early on. And, I can't say that it's a dumb way to schedule or anything like that, because there's a lot of people that like it. That's fair. Personally, I wasn't the biggest fan, just because outside of like getting the buys, you kind of just sit around for a long time, or you play inter squads. I was injured during a lot of the sitting around though, so it kind of made the waiting around suck a little bit more. But you know, even if I was healthy, I know that I'd be going stir crazy, because it's like, okay, you know, can we hurry this up a little bit? Like, but you know, that's the way they do it over there, and there's nothing I can do about it. So kind of just have to learn to adapt a little bit.
One of the other major differences too is you can have ties, right? I think it's after 12 innings in the regular season, 15 in the postseason. In America, obviously, you've dealt with the California tiebreaker rule. Do you like one more than the other? I know there's some old school fans saying, oh, you shouldn't have the runner out on second base, but you also don't want the games to go on forever, and maybe you don't want a tie as well.
I would say I would prefer the ghost runner over a tie, just because, like, you know, you play 12 innings, you kind of want an outcome. You know, you want something to happen. Like, I know there's a lot of games. I know games going for a long time, you know, it drags. But I mean, even if they were to do, like, you know, the first 12 innings clean, nobody on second base. If it goes past that, then you start throwing guys on second base. Like, I think that would be a good compromise, in my opinion. And I know some guys have already, like, you know, proposed that. But you know, I've honestly never had to pitch in that situation. I've never had to experience that firsthand. So, you know, there could be guys who like it. There could be guys who don't like it. I don't know.
And you almost, not really almost, but you almost got to pitch into the 10th inning. Your team gave you a lot of offensive support. That August 11th start against Kiwoom, complete game, 3-hit shutout in late August, 11 strikeouts. I mean, what's the vibe going through your body, going through your mind in the stands after a big start like that?
Oh, it was electric. I mean, that was probably the best game I've ever pitched in like professional baseball. Everything was working, and it was against a team that had honestly owned me a little bit during the year. So it was like, you know, a little extra preparation, a little bit more, like, you know, focus, I think, a little bit more adrenaline, just because, like, you know, I want to beat these guys. But you know, things just started going well, and it turned into that like point in a game where, like, you're just rolling. You can't really do any wrong. And it just carried on till the end of the game. And, you know, I look back at that. It was like probably my favorite memory from pitching over there, for sure.
And there's a guy that was in that lineup that's coming over here to the United States, Hae-Sung Kim. You know, he was been posted by the Kiwoom Heroes. What's sort of the scouting report on that young second baseman?
Good lefty. Sneaky pop, more of a doubles guy, but, like, you know, he's not going to strike out. That's the biggest thing. And a lot of those guys refuse to strike out. So I don't know if he's going to be as much of a power hitter as he was in Korea, just because, you know, he's inherently just going to be facing better stuff. But I would say he's going to be like a gap splitter for sure.
You had the lowest ERA on the Samsung Lions in the rotation, most strikeouts by a lot, 7th most in the entire KBO, most innings pitched for the Lions, tied for the most starts, 2nd most on the club with 11 wins, 2nd lowest whip in the league. I mean, that's about as good as you probably could have written it up at the beginning of the season if you said, hey, here's how well I hope it goes. And it did. It came to fruition, didn't it?
Yeah, and that was honestly after a bad first half, too, or not first half, like third of the season. Yeah, I mean, talking about guys getting released early, like, I was on the chopping block after like 5 starts, I'd say. Like, it got dicey, and then we started to make our adjustments and turn it around a little bit. But, you know, going from where we started to, you know, ending up having all those, like, nice, pretty stats at the end, like, it's cool. It just, like, feels good knowing that I have it in me to, like, turn it around like that. And, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, some lucky team over here in the States will see that and think the same. But, you know, I can't control that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, like you said, at the end of the season, which was really 3/4 of the season, I mean, a sub-3 ERA. Now, you also led the league in one other category,
Yeah, I know where this is going.
Hit by pitch, 19 hitters.
So the tacky balls can be a little hard to control at times, just like, especially on the breaking balls. Like, I'd say 19 of those, I'd say like 12 to 13 were on breaking balls. Like, tried to back foot and front foot, like executed the perfect front foot slider, which you don't want to do because that means it hits them in the front foot. So yeah, I did that a lot. But you know, every once in a while, a ball gets away, fastball ride a little bit more than you're expecting. You yank a fastball, you know, when you're going in on a lefty, it happens. But yeah, I wasn't happy about the hit by pitches at all because, like, I pride myself on not giving up the free bags, and that one was a little tough to stomach. But you know, worked around it, was able to navigate a lot of the time, so it didn't end up biting me in the butt too much.
I didn't think to look at individual games to see if you had like 2 or maybe 3 in a game, or if there were any international incidents or not.
I did get tossed. I did get tossed out of a game. So they have a rule where if you hit somebody in the helmet with a fastball, it's automatic. Like, I didn't know that, and so I'm facing the Hanwha Eagles, and I'm having a really good game. I'm like pitching to the 7th. I got an out already. I'm 2 strikes on one of their veteran hitters who's a righty, and I want to go, you know, up and in, try and get over his hands a little bit, and it sails on me, and it hits his helmet, and I felt so bad afterwards. Let me just like preface that. It hit his helmet and flew almost all the way to first base. And I thought it hit his bat. And so I'm like looking at like our first baseman, like, hey, catch that. Like, and like, I'm like pointing at it while it's in the air. And the guy sees me and he thinks I'm like, you know, talking trash. Like, hey, I hit you on the head. What are you going to do about it? And I'm like, and I had no idea. I could have swore it hit his bat and just went like shot over there. And afterwards I learned, and then I'm like, oh God, that sucks. I'm so sorry, man. And the bench is cleared because they saw his reaction. And, you know, there was some drama for a second, but everything cleared up. One of the guys on the team knew the guy really well. And I told him, like, I want to, like, you know, shoot him a text just to be like, hey, I'm really sorry that I wasn't trying to do that. I also wasn't trying to act like an idiot afterwards. But you know, stuff like that happens, and it's interesting that it happened in a different country, and I had no idea what was going on for a good like 30 seconds. But hey, it's part of the game.
It is. You should have sent over an autographed corner jersey. So, hey, hope no hard feelings, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if he'd want that one. But, yeah.
Yeah, B in the chat saying off day preparation again. There's a lot of different ways of playing the game in baseball. We think about what MLB and what America is like, but I know they do things differently over in Korea and Japan. What was that preparation like versus when you were with Colorado and Boston, et cetera?
Well, actually, every off day up until September is Monday. Like, it's just 6 straight games during the week. Monday's off. So it was a lot like AAA. It was, you know, the baked in 6-day schedule, and then you get your travel day or whatever. But it was, you know, it wasn't bad. It's like, it's easy to plan things over there because of it. Yeah. And then the travel was all bus. Like, it's a small country. You can go end to end driving in, like, I want to say like 6 hours. So we would just take a bus everywhere. Half the teams are up in Seoul, which was like 2.5, 3 hours away. So a lot of the time we'd be doing that bus ride up there. But you know, we all had team buses. They were super comfy. You had your own seat the whole time. So yeah, and you can just like make it your second home on the bus there. But yeah, no, the travel is super easy.
Yeah.
Other than obviously flying 13 hours to get there.
Yeah, that's a good 3-4 days probably that you have to take to recover and get on the right schedule, right?
Yeah, the jet lag's real, man. It's not fun.
At least you were coming from California as a West Coast guy, like that helps out a
Right,
little bit.
right. It could have been a lot worse.
A couple of your teammates are one's notable in Colorado. Another one, I could very much see him being a player that jumps to MLB in a couple of years. Sungwon Oh, the Stone Boss was the closer there. Was on that 2018 Rockies team, the last postseason club. What was he like? He's got to be a superstar over there, right?
He is the man. He's like the best dude. I loved spending time with him. Like he would take us out to Korean barbecue all the time, and we would eat a bunch, have some drinks. He was just a great dude to be around. And Final Boss, like that's the best nickname probably you can get. Like I don't know how you beat that as a closer at least. Um, he kind of had a tough year, but it was still like you could see it. You could see like how good he was back in the day, and getting to know him. And it's funny, we bonded a little bit because we knew a lot of the Rockies guys, like Mooney, the bullpen catcher. Like we took a selfie and sent it to him during one of the dinners, and it fired Mooney up. I know. So yeah, no, it was awesome playing with him for sure.
That's so cool to hear.
Yeah.
Young Woon Kim, in his age 20 season, 28 home runs, 79 RBI, team leader in both. He can play a little bit of shortstop, mostly third base, but tell me about how special young Woon Kim is.
Yeah, we called him Hero. I think one of his names translates to hero for us. So I talk about just like raw hitting talent, man. He's just got dumb thump. It's just he hits the ball and it just backspins forever. Um, and it's pretty too. It's like he's just got this big lefty swing that it's big, but it's quick and it's like compact still, somehow big and compact. But he plays a good third base too, and he's on top of all that. He's a great kid, and I would love it if he came over here. I think he's definitely good enough. He's got a lot of the tools that I know teams are looking for from guys over there. So I wouldn't be surprised.
That's awesome. That'll be exciting to see if and when that does happen. Let's
Yeah.
go back. Let's go back to the start of the career. Drafted by the Phillies, third round out of Cal State Fullerton in 2017. Is that just feel like another world? Like that was a different person. I know we share the same body, but like that was somebody else.
I know well, I was on campus. I was just getting on campus 10 years ago. That feels crazy, man. But yeah, no, I mean, Fullerton days feel like they were forever ago for sure. But a lot of good memories there. A lot of good memories. Got to go to the World Series twice, and you know, went 2-Q both times, but it was still fun. Didn't get to stay very long. But yeah, no, it's such a weird thing to think about that it's been that long already, for sure.
It's true. It's really true. I know one of the great stories. I think I must have written about this, but we were talking about how you go from the Phillies and end up on the Red Sox. Can you take us through that story of how you got traded in the middle of a global pandemic?
Yeah, that was a weird one. Okay, so um, I remember I was at the alt site, which was in Lehigh Valley, Allentown, and I wake up that morning and I text my buddy Addison Russ, like, "Hey, can I get a ride today?" Because he had a rental car, and he texts me, "Hey, I'm actually getting traded to the Yankees right now, so I'm probably not going to be able to do that." I was like, "Oh, dude, I forgot this is all starting," and the whole day I'm going like, "Dang, Russ is gone. That sucks." And then you start like watching the TV and they're talking about the Red Sox wanting to swing a trade for the relievers, and the Phillies are suitors. So it's like, huh, that's crazy. I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder who's going to get traded. And then sure enough, like 9 o'clock that night, get a phone call from the farm director and the GM, and they say, "Hey, we're sending you to Boston. Thank you for being a big part of the last few years. Wish you the best." Short and sweet like that. And at the time, it's like, okay, well, guess I got traded. Cool. Um, didn't even think about like the logistics of it all, like during a pandemic, because normally you just like you pack up all your stuff, you hop on a plane if it's like far enough, and you just go. Um, yeah, they didn't do that. They had me sit in a car service for like 9 hours, I think. No, I can't remember how long. It was a long time. It was a long time to be in a car. So we left that morning, got there like as it was getting dark at night. So yeah, it could be 9 hours. Um, but yeah, and it was just like, me and the driver who knows nothing about baseball, just like, do the whole like talk for like 30 minutes at the beginning of the trip and then never talk again kind of thing. So I'm just listening to music the whole time, checking maps, just seeing where we're at, And, then you get there and they have to quarantine you for a few days. So, it was like 3 days after. And, Nick Pavetta was the other piece in that. And I remember he texted me after he got up to Providence where we were staying for their alt site. So he texted me after the fact, like, "Hey, if you ever need a ride, let me know." And it was like, "Oh, how'd you get up here? Did you take a shuttle service too?" "Oh no, I drove." So, that would have been nice to know, like 10 hours ago. But hey, it's all good. But no, it led to a good story, I guess. So I can't complain.
Yeah, and it led to an opportunity making your debut a year later in 2021. I mean, that has to be one of those pinnacle points when you think on your life, like this is the day that the dream came true.
Absolutely. I mean, it's every ball player's dream is just to crack the surface, man. And, after that, it's sticking around, which is the harder part, but getting there is not easy. And I know that I made it a lot farther than a lot of guys have in their career. And I feel very grateful for that. And, that whole experience with having to sit in a car for 10 hours and do all that stuff during COVID, like it's worth it in the end, because that, like, you work hard and you get to that point and, it's cool, man. It's really cool.
That's such a great perspective too. I think that a lot of people need to have. I know I had and needed this in my life when I look back and reflect that sometimes it's like the intangibles that make the difference rather than the grind of every day. And hey, you just got to deal with the situation as it is. You mentioned Nick Pavetta. How great has it been to see him have the success that he's had?
It's been awesome. And I know he's hopefully going to make a good chunk of money here pretty soon. So I'm happy for him and happy for all the success he's had in Boston. Yeah, and he deserves it. He deserves it.
You got to text him and say, "Hey, did your agent inform you that like if you ever get traded with someone like that guy, you have to kind of split the paycheck with him?" You might be able to trick him.
We haven't discussed logistics on that, but yeah, I mean, we're still putting numbers together. We'll figure something out. Yeah.
There you go. I know some Phillies fans remember you with having that wild long hair. Is that coming back? Are you going to bring that back at some point? Come on.
I mean, you see this hairline? You see this hairline right now? It's getting hard to grow it out. It really is. I don't have the genes to effectively do it as much anymore because it gets long and it gets really nasty and it's kind of a pain in the ass to take care of. So we'll see. Maybe I'll break it out again. I had it kind of long at the end of the season in Korea. That was more so that I couldn't find a barber, but it had some good mojo in it. So we'll see what happens down the road.
That's true. I did see some pictures and noticed there was a little bit of lettuce coming out of the back. That was cool.
Yeah.
You were also part of the inaugural Worcester Woo Sox team in 2021. New ballpark, new team, new uniforms. Did that feel almost like a big league operation with everything just being so fresh? Like it's AAA, but at the same time, this is different because it's so fresh and there's just an extra level of excitement.
It was cool, man. I mean, that's a really good setup that they have. The stadium is A1. The facilities are great. I remember I was really bummed because I was actually hurt. Went for like the opening game at the stadium. Like I got hurt during the preseason alt site thing that they had. And I snuck in, like I got a ticket and like was sitting in like one of the club sections. But so I got to experience the game that way, but I wasn't in the dugout. Like I was heading to Florida the next day for rehab, but it was still cool, like just being part of it. And I eventually did get to pitch there, like at the end of the year, and then obviously in like 2022 and everything. It's a cool stadium, and Worcester's a cool little town. Like there's some really cool spots, and if you're a craft beer fan like myself, there's a good chunk of places where you can go find some good stuff. So um, yeah, no, I look back at my Woo Sox memories very fondly, for sure.
You didn't have to pay for a ticket to get into your team's game, did you?
No, somebody hooked me up. That would have been bad. I don't know if I would have gone if that was the case.
Again, it would have been made for another really great story.
Yeah, it would have. Probably for the wrong reasons, but yeah, I agree.
At the time you were drafted in 2017, there were 40 rounds and a lot more high school players were drafted. Do you think that, shortening the draft to 20 rounds is maybe going to be ultimately more helpful to a lot of high schoolers who need that college experience before, jumping into pro ball?
Yeah, if I could see looking at that way as being, beneficial for sure. I mean, it bums me out just because I've seen a lot of really good players come out of those later rounds, and those going away is, it sucks a little bit. It's like those guys that usually would get that shot, like now they can still sign for like the free agent stuff and all that after the draft, which I think that kind of like took over, but you're still not, getting the guys who are just like getting that shot. You still have to like, negotiate with teams and all that instead of just like you're drafted, come on in, show us what you got. Yeah, I do miss that a little bit. I've had some teammates, especially like college teammates who, well, I guess it was still 40 rounds when I was, but even then it was like, the guys that you normally wouldn't like even like think of getting drafted now, having a chance to get drafted and like having a chance to live out their dream. It's not there anymore. It bums me out, but I know it's kind of a necessary evil. They're trying to pay guys better. They're trying to have, better living conditions for guys, which I think is very important. So it's not like it's like for naught. It's for an understandable reason.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair point that might not get realized is that, yeah, that takes an opportunity away from some young guys. Cause even, there's a good chance every single person listening to this right now would kill to be drafted in the 40th round and have like a short season, one at bat in short season A ball. Like that's still a dream come true. For you had that opportunity where you were drafted out of high school and then ultimately you got the choice to say, no, maybe I'm not ready for this. What went into that decision?
Probably just knowing that I was better off just going to college in that situation. There's guys, they get drafted, like high school kids, they'll get drafted in the first round and like it's a no-brainer. Like they don't really have to think about it. I was drafted in the 19th and, didn't really have any money on the table. It was kind of just like one of those situations where why would I sign? And, looking back, I definitely made the right decision. I ended up getting drafted in the third round in 17 and, everything worked out pretty well. And all the aforementioned, experiences at Fullerton and all that fun stuff. So, made the right decision, but yeah, it was something that needed to happen. Yeah. Honestly, I probably would have been out of baseball if I would have taken the high school deal. So definitely made the right choice.
It's a challenge, even just going from being at home with the family and the family unit that's there to college. Mm-hmm. Imagine if you didn't have, an entire community around you in college and you're just you're a pro and you got your teammates looking after you, but it's really different. You debut in 2021. You debut in September of 2021, and you're the 22,524th player in the majors. I ask you that because I know some players will get their debut number tattooed on themselves. You've got some ink already. Is that something that could be in the future for you?
I don't know about debut number. I thought this is another just great, like, circumstantial baseball story. I was planning on getting like the date, just like the super basic like Roman numerals thing. You know what? You know what my debut date was? Yeah, it was September 11th,
2021, a decade later.
2021.
Yeah.
Decade later. So I kind of shied away from that one just because obvious reasons, but it's still cool. I mean, I can say that, it's easy to remember. It's easy to remember when I debuted, if anything. Don't need the tattoo to remind me.
You might just have to go to Europe and just have them do it, because they'll put the date first and you'll know, but no one else. And everyone will go, wait, you debuted in the World Series? Wait, they don't even play in November. 11/9/21. If you know, you know.
For sure. Yeah, but down the road, I might do something, ink wise with something in the playing career. Like, I've thought about it, but we'll see.
Do you collect your own baseball cards? That's been being a big thing for a lot of players. It seems like more and more. I don't know if it's just a new craze or guys are just more public about it. Have you ever collected some of your own cards before?
I have a handful of my own cards, but I'm not like going out of my way to find them. Honestly, those aren't for me. Those are for the people who really want them, in my opinion. So, I don't need to be hoarding them. I know, like, the whole scheme's like, one of one card that is like, big right now, that whole thing. And it's like, no knock on them. Like, if you want your one of one, you should absolutely be entitled to, at least like try to get it. So, but that's not me. That's not, I'm not enthusiastic enough about baseball cards to go and do that, I don't think.
Well, you're the perfect person to ask that, because again, the debut patch started in 2023, so you weren't in that window. But if that was around, as someone who doesn't naturally collect his own cards, would that be one that you would actually go, you know what, this would be the one I get?
That one would probably be a little different. That one would probably be the one, if I were to make any sort of like attempt to sign or to get a card that was like signed by myself and put out there, that would probably be the one.
Yeah. I gotta ask, can you remember the starting lineup of your major league debut? Putting you on the spot.
For or against us?
You know what? I only did enough research for your team rather than who you were against. That should be easier for you.
Okay. Who do we have?
Oh yeah, you probably don't remember the lineup. You're thinking of them defensively,
yeah.
Right?
Okay. First base. Okay. Sorry. Starting with catcher. Christian Vasquez behind the plate. You have Bobby Dahlbeck at first. You have Kike Hernandez at second. Bogarts at third, or short. Graffi at third. Matt Shaw, DH. Right field was... Okay, this is where it gets tricky. I'm trying to think if Jackie was playing that game. Jackie Bradley.
He was not.
He was not. Okay. Give me a sec. I'll figure this out. If we want to move on, I can keep like pondering it.
None of these guys are still with the team. It was crazy just going back to like a lineup from 3 years ago where it's like Devers is the only one that's still around in that lineup and everyone else has kind of gone different places.
That is pretty crazy. This is going to bug me. This is really going to bug me.
There's a DH batting second, but he's now a leadoff hitter. And he's not a prototypical leadoff hitter.
Oh, Schwarber.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Or maybe Schwarber was in the outfield with Shaw the DH?
Yeah. So
okay.
I remember. So at that time, like half the team had COVID. So actually that's why I got to debut, is because half the team had COVID. So take what you can get. But yeah, I remember there was a lot of regulars who weren't in there because Schwarber would probably have been, DHing.
So maybe he was in left.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. No, I think he was in left.
You got the monster there. You got to protect him.
Yeah. Center field.
He played left field with the Yankees this past year. He's got a lot.
Yeah, Doogie. Doogie.
Yeah, Alex Verdugo.
You got Doogie, and then right field would have been...
I don't know if his nickname in the clubhouse is Mike Trout, but if it was, you would...
Oh, Hunter Renfroe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I knew I was forgetting somebody because yeah, you said that nobody is around anymore, which yeah, you're right. Dang, okay, yeah, that sounds right though. Like that. Well, you have it up, so you know. But yeah, okay, I did okay. I got the infield right.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I'm not
Yeah,
I'm not planning on giving any fly balls up. Well,
yeah.
Dahlbeck was with the Red Sox this past year. I think he's
Mhm.
a minor league free agent in the chat. And I had this in my notes. So for a period of time, again, some people might not know, some will remember from 2023, because there was a ton of Colorado born guys. And I
Mhm.
always put you in that group like, hey, hold on, we got some other Colorado guys. You lived in
Honorary,
Colorado.
honorary.
You're an honorary Coloradan, spending some time there. Did you ever cross paths with Bobby Dahlbeck, playing youth baseball?
um, you know what? You heard about him. I never got to play against him, but I know he was kind of in the circuit like similar time that I was. I was only like at my high school for like my freshman and sophomore year though. And that was like really the only time you'd kind of hear about him. I didn't really know of him before, but the name definitely started to pop up more in high school. Um,
Parker, Colorado, Legend High School, and you were Castle Rock, right?
yeah, Castleview,
Castleview.
Sabercats.
There
Don't
you
know
go.
what the don't know. Maybe this. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Um, but yeah, the Sabercats
That takes you back, huh?
takes me back for sure.
Speaking of being taken back, what is it like pitching at Fenway Park with that green monster just right over your right shoulder? That's got to feel weird. Like just a pop up. Is that out? Is that a home run?
Yeah, it's imposing, man. It feels like it's staring at you at times from your behind your right shoulder. Um, but it's cool. Like there's so much history there. It's hard not to feel like it's hard not to feel like you're doing something really cool when you're there. Um, Not that in my time with the Red Sox, at least I did anything cool there. But I got to have that start at Fenway with the Rockies, and it went really well. That was pretty sick. I mean, I gotta admit that was probably one of my favorite baseball memories. And you know, at the time things were rolling pretty well for myself as far as like being a starter, and didn't go too well after that. But I still have that one I can hang on to for sure.
You did, yeah. I think you only gave up one home run to a right-handed hitter. Uh, it,
Yeah, it was Donaldson. I remember that.
Josh Donaldson,
Hung a changeup.
and you've
Shouldn't do that.
and you've only given up multiple home runs to one player. Do you know who? You're like, who should I hate right now?
Okay. Let me
Double T. His initials are double T.
double T, double T, double T. Can I get a team?
I don't know who he was with at the time. Was he with the Brewers at that point? I know he was a prospect with the Brewers. He was with the Mets last year.
Oh. I know
Outfielder.
who. Yeah, I should know his name. He's hit 2 home runs off me.
The
Um,
disrespect.
Maybe I've just repressed it, and so like I just pretend that it never happened.
It
I
would have
know
been
exactly who
Milwaukee.
you're talking about. Yeah, no, I know he got me earlier in the season. Um, yeah, he got me earlier in the season. I remember I hung a slider. Tyrone Taylor hit it, hit a slider that was like on a tee for him, which he should, and then a really nice piece of hit and fastball up and away. Went out to right field at Miller Park. Yeah. Dang. Okay. So at least I only have one multi home run guy.
That's
I can live
right.
with that.
Yeah, your career is better than I think you might even remember it at times. Sometimes, Connor.
Yeah, I do look down on my career so far, but hey, there's only room for improvement at this point, right?
Well, look, one of the probably the biggest memories, especially knowing that you weren't even able to participate in opening day in Worcester,
Mhm.
was being on that third base line in San Diego at Petco Park for opening day with the Colorado Rockies in 2023. What kind of feelings are going through you in that moment?
It was so cool, man. I mean, that's a cool stadium to begin with, and then having it jam packed with people. You got, just like the massive it was like the bomber plane that's going over, and it's just so loud, and they're just doing it up and everything. And then you like just sit there and realize like I'm on a opening day roster. This is pretty cool. Like I'd say this is up there with a bunch of cool stuff. So no, I mean that memory is just like, it's seared into my brain, and it's in a good way.
If you need a date to get tattooed, it could be 5/9/23, first big league win in Pittsburgh, 5 innings, give up only 1 run. Is the baseball, besides the baseball from your debut, is the baseball from your first career big league win, is that up there with like some of the best pieces of memorabilia you have?
I don't think I have the ball, but I have the lineup card. So I got the lineup card framed. I don't have anywhere to put it currently in my house, but like I'm hoping to, one day have a spot to put it. So, but yeah, I got to keep that, and that's obviously a awesome thing to have. And I got one under my belt. Hopefully there's a lot more in the tank, but you got that first one out of the way, and there's, it's cool, man. It's super cool.
Yeah, it's special. That's a special win, no doubt. Can you maybe give just a quick public service announcement to any young pitcher that has to pitch in Albuquerque, whether they're an Isotope or whether they're just visiting from the Pacific Coast League? It's rough. They should know. Connor Seabold, you have the floor.
Yeah, home runs are not the end of the world, because I think you could firmly sneeze on a ball and it would go 450 feet there. But if you ever wanted to know what playing on the surface of Mars is like, that's your spot, man. I mean, it's not that bad. It's bad, but it's not as bad as, you'd expect it to be. It's just, you got to be okay with giving up homers. You got to be okay with giving up some runs. Like a good ERA in the PCL is like a 5. Like, it's not the end of the world. It's gonna hurt a little bit, but it's just part of it. It's just part of it.
Connor Seabold, 28, still a decade plus left in the tank. I should say, hey, plug your agent here so we can get the ball rolling with a deal. Besides just getting back to the majors as being like a big thing on the to-do list, is playing at Angel Stadium also like when you get back? I'd love to. I know that was your hometown team, and how much that would mean to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely on the bucket list. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but somewhere down the line, I'd like to just play there once, because I grew up there. Like, I was at Game 7 of the 2002 World Series. Like, my parents were season ticket holders for years. It's such a it holds a place in my heart for sure. And I know the team's not doing so hot right now, and that, as a repressed Angels fan, deep down, it hurts, but you can't have that when you're in my line of profession. So, I would love it if it kind of went back to being like a place where you see like playoff games getting played, but you never know. I don't know what's going to happen, and it would be cool as, like I said, a repressed Angels fan for that to happen. But, it's just, it is what it is.
In my humble opinion, I think the rotation could benefit from a young veteran that had 150 so innings under his belt last year. Hey, I don't know if you know anybody that fits that description.
I'll look around, but no, that'd be cool. It would be really cool. Obviously right now I'm just looking for the best fit, and whether that's here, whether that's back overseas, we'll see. It's still pretty early in the off season. The big guys are getting signed finally, so dominoes are falling. See what happens.
That's exciting, man. It's exciting. And there's some news that broke today too that's, kind of related to the Modesto Nuts. I don't know if you saw this. 2025 is going to be their last year. There's a brand new stadium in Ontario, California, that the Dodgers are going to move into. So the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, the Dodgers are going to be in Ontario, and then the Inland Empire, they're going to slide over to Rancho Cucamonga, and then Seattle Mariners then, become Inland Empire. So things shifting in the landscape of the California League.
Right. I never got to play there. I got to play a college game at Lake Elsinore, but other than that, I haven't been to those spots. But I know it's significant. It's a very storied league, and having one of those teams disappear and a new one pop up is pretty significant. So yeah, it's that's big news for sure.
Connor, thanks so much for joining me. You can plug. Do you have anything to plug, actually?
If there's any GMs out there watching, I'm a great clubhouse guy. I got a good taste in music, like long walks on the beach and a good book every once in a while. Hit me up.
That's it.
No, I got nothing, man. I got nothing, but I appreciate it.
And Topps 2023, your baseball cards. You got to plug the baseball cards. Like, hey, go out and support me.
Why not?
Yeah, it's not really support, but sure, you just got to say something at the end of a podcast and ramble on. Like, yeah.
If you're a baseball card person, please do not send me any for myself to keep, because I that'd be wasting a card. Keep them. I appreciate it, but thank you, but no thank you.
I just heard about this from someone, I forget who I was talking to, where they'll like send you extras and like, okay, this one's your copy and these 8 are mine. Could you send
those? Exactly.
Smart.
I'll sign them, but I won't keep any. So just don't send me the extras.
That's awesome. Good man, Connor Seabold. We're looking forward to seeing what's next for you. I'm at Patrick D. Lyons and at Patrick D. Lyons MLB on all social media platforms. I like to say that the people in the chat, Connor, and listening at home on the podcast side, they give me a lot of momentum. And in baseball, momentum is only as good as the next day's starting pitcher. But when it comes to podcast, momentum for me is only as good as my next show. So I'll talk to you.